And that's why we're here. We are struggling that at least one day we see that no foreigner is just doing simple things that our youth can do. And you've started yet. I see some programmers here. They are developing systems. That's something to start with. So we need to see even in higher tech that we see Tanzanians are also involved in developing our own locally made solutions. And that's the purpose of tech transfer. So I would like to urge you to go and read our national instruments like the S&T policy, the industrial policy, at least that you can integrate the science and technology and the key sectors of the economy. Because we have FDIs here, foreign direct investments. We have local investors, we have NGOs, we have a lot of government projects and private projects which are using foreign contractors through our procurements. So we will have to see Tanzanians are getting involved to answer to our local content policy. And that's why we embrace these kind of initiatives. So I would love to argue that whatever you are doing here, you are answering to our national visions, you are answering to our national policies, and we are happy that you are doing tech transfer in a way that we see you are getting involved in developing local solutions by reverse engineering or by imitative innovation. So we support both types of innovations. You enjoy our funding systems, you enjoy our networking systems, and through this African EU program, it has been a very strong network across Africa where we establish partnerships with other countries. We learn from each other. I was in Nairobi with one of the colleagues. We have already obtained 2 projects out of that. So when you are here, just try to interact, just try to establish networks, and even try to come up with the new ideas and solutions. Every year we support innovators and researchers. Even today, I'm just coming from a meeting where we have endorsed the 18 innovators to be funded, a total of 300 Tanzanian shillings. And 5 new clusters will be funded at 200,000, 200 million shillings. So you see, we are doing these efforts every day at least to see our own Tanzanians are coming up with solutions where the government can fund. These they include grants, and as I said, we are going to also give soft loan. And we are happy that other partners are coming in, like CRDB. We have seen the embedded program, where this week they are starting the screening of those applications. And I'm also glad to see UNDP, who are also running the Fungo program. Thank you for coming. And let me thank our brother from Brela, and we have been working close together. And I see Dr. Flora is also here. She is my former boss, and we're still working together. And we harness this knowledge, and that's tech transfer. When we learn from each other, it's the transfer of knowledge from one person to another, not only from companies to other companies. So let's leverage on what we have and the brotherhood and sisterhood that we have. With those few remarks, I don't think I did not prepare a speech, but just to tell you that when it comes to tech transfer, it involves both knowledge, experience, equipment, programs, and everything, and that we are doing it, and we're supporting it. And I would love to say that I'm happy this is being coordinated by my department and our institution. And I believe that we'll have nice interaction. And to see also ideas from you and the contributions that we can make COSTECH do better and better. So let me end up here. And if there is any interaction, I'll be waiting for it. What is the MC? Okay. Uh, the, the MC is our community.
Thank you, Dr. Kafuku. Let's give him a hand of appraisal. And and yeah, I believe we have heard a lot. Some of the insight of the tech transfer, how it engages with stakeholders within the industry. Um, a lot have been spoken from him. And thankfully, we are back online. For those who are following us on YouTube, they have to use the same link. And as we didn't wind up on the part of the introduction, the part of the opening remarks from our brother Gideon from Hyperspace, I would love to welcome him again if we are ready. Yeah, so as we are waiting, maybe as we are waiting for our fellow consortium online, do you have any question, anything maybe you could love to ask Dr. Kafuku for these 1 to 3 minutes as we're waiting for our techno guy to proceed? Wow, so here they are. Hello, Gideon. Yeah, apologies for the technical issues. We lost you for some time, and we were not able to wind up our opening remarks from your side. So if you are good to go, you may proceed where we ended, so that the entire community here can have a big picture and understand how the African EU collaborates and what the goal of the project and what are we looking forward to achieve through the project. Welcome.
So, like I said initially, the African EU project is creating the first transcontinental networking academy that seeks to support digital innovation hubs both in Europe and Africa to build capacity, promote knowledge sharing, networking, collaboration, joint projects, and venture development. And for our objectives, we exist to facilitate knowledge and experience sharing, and I think that's one of them that is taking place right now. So we have what we call the local workshops, like what happens physically in the 4 different African countries, and then also we have webinars and master classes that happen online. And we also seek to drive the development of mutually beneficial partnerships. And these are highlighted in our international programs that we do. So, for instance, we had one at Bologna, our brokerage event, and we are looking forward to having another one in Europe. That's our capitalization program. We are also going to support the creation of collective projects. So you are again invited to a boot camp that will happen also in Tanzania and the other 4 countries in July, for a boot camp that will use design thinking to support startups to develop projects along 4 vertical themes. And we are a consortium of 11 members, 4 in Africa, that is Ghana, Nigeria, Uganda, and Tanzania. And we have the remaining 7 also dotted around Europe. And so that's the consortium. And these are the phases of the project. Now we have been able to successfully go through phases 1 to 3. We are now on 4. That's the deployment of the project itself, and training or the workshop we are in right now forms part of it. And this is the networking academy that we're trying to develop. So we are not only targeting the digital innovation hubs, but also focusing on all the stakeholders in that value chain, and also looking forward to making some policy recommendations based on what we have experienced and what the research that we did at the beginning of the project also pointed to. So these are the 4 thematic areas that we are working on: business development models and multi-actor approach, technology transfer. I think Dr. Gerard talked about that a while ago. And then we have startups, financial support, digital entrepreneurial skills development. And under each of these, we have local workshops, webinars, and then master classes that do justice to them. So, if you have not been joining our webinars and master classes, please you can go to the africaneu.eu website and then check what is upcoming and register for them. And trust me, you are going to benefit from taking part of that project. And so, yes, all our activities are free, and so freely go there and then join the program. We'd love to keep in touch and also share a lot of materials that we find with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gideon. I believe this was well captured from the audience. And having said so, we have seen a lot of opportunities from the project and the initiative within Africa and Tanzania as per se. And this says the big picture is more collaborative, because the lot of joint programs that we can collaborate together as the ecosystem player to raise these brilliant innovations and startups within the country, as to raise the digital economy, empowering youth together with women, and for the entire social economic development. So I would love to welcome Dr. Flora, who will be leading us on the next activity. Having talked about innovation, having talked about technology, having talked about the innovator himself, having talked about the players within the ecosystem and raising these initiatives together. Who should own the IP? Who should own the intellectual property? Who owns the technology? What are the structure of the ownership? And what can we what can we see working or not working on our side? So I would love to welcome Dr. Flora as she moves on the stage. Please let's have a hand of applause for her. And Dr. Flora will eventually welcome the other panelists on the stage to proceed with this discussion. Welcome.
Thank you, and a very good afternoon to you all. Welcome to this exciting panel. Maybe I should. Dr. Kafuku mentioned who I was. I used to work at COSTECH, but I'm now with the University of Dar es Salaam. And I'm honored to be joined on this panel by a representative from Nelson Mandela African Institute for Science and Technology. Thank you. They will introduce themselves. I'll give you a chance. And then we have someone from the Business Registration and Licensing Agency, Brella. You're here? Yes. Please. You can sit on one of the comfortable chairs. Yes, please. Absolutely. We also have a representative from COSTECH's Department of Tech Transfer and Management. Doctor, please. And we also have a representative from, we have an online representative, so I'm going to move away from the screen so that I can see her. And she's with the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. Is that it? I just want to check, do I have everyone? I have someone from UNDP from the Fungo program, if you want to join me, Joseph. So what we're going to quickly do, I'll give you 1 minute to tell us what is the most important thing about yourself, your name, and what's most important that we should know about you. Very quickly, 1 minute each. Start with you.
The most important thing, I think there's too many, but my name is Joseph Manirakiza. I lead the UNDP's Fungo Innovation Program, which is in the space of also supporting startups, which kind of important link towards technology transfer and the valorization that we're talking about. Is that enough?
Okay, I'm Raphael Mtalima from Brela, from the IP department. Mainly, I'm involved in patent examination, sort of. Thank you.
I am Luckness William Jango, as an intellectual property manager at NMIST, dealing with IP search, documentation, among other stuffs that are relevant to IP transfer of technology.
Good afternoon. My name is Erasto Mbiuka, Manager for Technology Management and Transfer at the Tanzania Commission of Science and Technology. I also work as acting executive officer at the Dar Technohama Business Incubator Limited. This is an incubator that facilitates technology transfer and the commercialization of innovation that has been initiated by the Tanzania Commission of Science to foster commercialization of innovation, of which has bring so many innovations that have found their way into the market. Thank you.
Yes, that's slightly more than a minute, but can we hear from our colleague in Ghana, Waipo? Can you introduce yourself? Thank you very much. Okay, I think, is it possible to raise the volume that we can hear what she has to say? Because it's difficult to catch what she's, I don't know. I'm struggling. I don't know. Could you hear her in the back? You could? You couldn't? Yeah, so maybe if tech can help us raise the volume from the speaker that's coming through the TV. So we've got a number of questions that are lined up for each and every one of you. I think we've all heard from Dr. Kafuku that it's all about tech transfer, but who owns it? Sometimes technology is very difficult to transfer because there's that intellect component that one feels, I need to preserve this. When do you let go? What is the value of the knowledge that you bring? And that's what these experts are going to try and educate us on this afternoon. So I'll kickstart with the academia. Nelson Mandela. What are the intellectual property challenges that universities and research and development organizations face? And you might care to share with us your intellectual property policy and the framework of that, and if you have good examples of where it has worked, please let us know.
Thank you so very much. Greetings from Nelson Mandela. In light with the questions posed, we have several intellectual property challenges that can be faced by any university pursuing innovation of science and technology, among sorts of things, such as determination of who owns the IP. Considering that that might be a research institute, the question would be, is the developer the owner? Should the university own? Are the supervisors involved? Such is one of the challenges. Now, to answer this question, NMIST has a policy and a guideline. In respect of a policy and a guideline, it enumerates criteria which it tells at what particular time does the institution own the IP. For example, if the institution has used a number of considerable fund in developing an idea to the process of commercializing it, whether through incubation or sorts of. So at some times, the institution would not own the IP, but would require to get a benefit sharing. Because, for example, some of the persons come at Nelson Mandela while they have already patented the IP and they are supposed only to be incubated. In the process of incubation, the institution would have used a considerable number of funds, money, spaces provided, among sorts of things which require funding. In such a situation, there might be a benefit sharing agreement which is stipulated in the intellectual property policy together with the guideline and the incubation guideline. Other challenges that can be available at the institution include the concept of IP search, IP documentation, and experts. Usually, a student comes from a number of ideas in his mind. He may probably think that he is innovating or inventing, while in actual fact, looking at the BLELA, the concept might have been dealt with a long time ago. Now, the challenge would seem to appear that we lack an inventory which is available to all institutions. We know that some secrets may not be availed publicly, but at least the nature of invention patented or registered should have been availed to the general public so that people would invent on what have not been invented or innovate on what have been done. In line with this, we have the policy where we have requested to various governmental institutions to at least do search. We are allowed to do search of what is actually done and what is not done so that we assist our students, academia, and other scholars at least to invent on what has been invented or to innovate on what has not been gone a step further. We have a challenge of exhibitions. Usually when you are at the institution, you may hear MAXI to APP exhibition, or innovators are called to exhibit what they have. In the process of exhibition, they are asked the question, and sometimes they have not patented the ideas. So the idea might be easily stolen from the exhibition point of view. In that regard, we have a policy which requires that only patented or copyrighted or among other types of intellectual property which has been registered should be exhibited. Those which are in prior stages should await, because in some instances, just an exhibition would deter you from patenting or registering a copyright. We have a challenge of, we have another challenge of incubation criteria. We have an incubation center at the institution. The incubation center caters for a number of staffs. It caters for internal staffs, innovators, and those from outside. Now, universities may face this challenge because at the moment people hear that you incubate technology, you may have a lot of people coming to be incubated. Now that is an opportunity. It also poses a challenge of space, a challenge of resources, among other stuff. And therefore, we have a guideline which tells who should be incubated, the criteria, the phases of incubation, how long would you stay, and if you pass a minimum time from when you are supposed to be incubated, at what time would you exit compulsorily, and of what amount of refund should you refund if at all you failed to meet the criteria of what you said you do. Otherwise, we would be incubating people without going from an ideation to a commercialization stage, and therefore, that provision serves the purpose that a mission must be accomplished. We have a challenge of conflict. Any university can face a challenge of conflict resolution, much as the Tanzanian laws would tell how to resolve conflicts, but sometimes that procedure may not be too beneficial. You may have a challenge between a student and a supervisor as to who owned the idea and who propagated the idea, who refined the idea and who should own it. And so, at the institution, our procedure for management of conflict starts with ADR first, so that we need to stay at an amicable settlement before we part into litigation. So we start with mediation. Once mediation fails, the director responsible for innovation and academics would appoint a proper committee which is unbiased to hear the persons. Once that fails and the internal arrangement fails, then you will have an avenue to go to litigation, which would be of last resort. We have also a problem of sustainability mechanism at various institutions. Now that you are speaking of incubating technology, it entails that you must have a mechanism to have money and to sustain the center. The challenge is that the government has a lot of things to do to its people, to university. It may lack some funds at a particular time, or funds might be utilized in other aspect. But again, donor funds may have its own condition and criteria. And therefore, to counteract this challenge, the institution has managed to develop a revenue collection guideline. This guideline would tell, for example, people from outside, how amount of little sum would you pay to be incubated? For example, we are doing documentation for you. What amount of sum would you pay? This sum would assist to be injected in the incubation center so that to facilitate sustainability of the center and the continuous process of incubating other people so that we proceed with the aim of the institution, that is technology development for the society and the industry. We have other challenge of preparation of documentation expertise. From the question when an idea is formulated to the question where documents are needed, there might be challenges to the innovators. They do not know laws. They do not know what are innovation and what are innovation. In that regard, the institution policies and guidelines provide assistance. We are allowed to call people from outside to read their ideas, see if the idea are patentable, copyrighted, documentation, what sorts of documentation. So guidance is provided at the institution cost. Those are some of the challenges. Maybe I pass the mic to.
Thank you for that extremely comprehensive elaboration of how it works. And this is from an academic perspective, what comes inside, how it's managed, how it's supported, how it's grown. I'd like to move to WIPO and ask you, what's your name? Nana? No. Yes? Nana, I'd like to ask you, what does WIPO promote? Because on the commercialization side, because IP, foreground IP that's developed in universities with some background, as we've heard, but most of the background IP comes after products are outside of the university. And how is that managed? And where do you see, how do you build those kind of relationships, sustainable relationships beyond the generation of the innovation or the invention?
So thank you for the question. WIPO comes in to support inventors, researchers in different forms and manners. We normally have a 3-pillar strategy that we follow, where we provide training, we provide resources, we provide networking services to our, to our stakeholders and focal points in order to assist them to better support researchers and TTOs, technology transfer officers across board. So what we do is we come in to build capacity with respect to understanding. For example, if a university is looking to draft an IP policy, we have the WIPO, we've got guidelines, we've got the WIPO database on IP policies, which is a database that allows other universities, TTOs, to get a better understanding of what other institutions, other research institutions have done. We also have a toolkit that we provide to enable the respective institutions to also, having learned or having read a bit about other IP policies that have been created through other institutions, to better help them to also draft their own. So WIPO comes in more of a supportive, holding your hand sort of role. And if there are any more specifics, specificities that come in, that are needed, that they need assistance on, then, for example, we've got the technology transfer section, which can then come in to help with more specific problems that may be faced. So that's mainly the role that WIPO plays. We're actually currently in the midst of completing what we call the incentives guide. So the full title is Incentives for Researchers and Technology Transfer Staff. So we're looking closely at benefit sharing agreements that will come into play when technology transfer agreements come in. Who owns what IP? What percentage ought to be shared? Is it going to be a percentage based on the gross income? Is it going to be on the net income? You know, a mixture of the two, etc. So that is due to come out. Hopefully within 2-3 months, we should have the complete document, which will be available on the WIPO site for researchers, institutions, etc., to also have access to that, which we're hoping will assist them in further understanding how to, you know, carve the turkey, so to speak.
Thank you for providing that global overview of what support is out there for our innovators. I'll come back to a national level and ask my colleague from Brela to elaborate one question that I am dying to know. When is our IP policy going to be in place? Is it going to come out? And then you can follow that up with how do you guide innovators in registering and benefiting from their patent, their licensed or industrial design copyrights?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. At the national level, if I speak of the IP policy, in Tanzania, it's unfortunate that we don't have a national IP policy in place as of now. Though the effort of having IP policy started far back 2011, so to say. It's because of sometimes, you know, there's a lot of government issues, politics and whatnot, that I have to say so. Anyway, so far, it's, I can say it's progressing well. As I speak, we have done all the efforts of what they found that there was a discrepancy of the former draft. It's lying with the Ministry of Investment, Trade, and Investment, Trade, and the Industries, ready to be sent to the Cabinet for approval, and I think it will be soon. But one thing that we're experiencing, there have been a lot of political changes for the important figures like the ministers. For instance, from 2015, we have experienced changes of ministers and the permanent secretaries. At least 5, we have 5 ministers. So whoever come in, then you start afresh. Nobody knows actually what goes on. Really, that's a problem. I think we don't have any minister who has stayed at least for 2 years, at least for ministers. That could have been easy. But when you remove a technocrat like the permanent secretary, who's responsible for that, that's a problem. We hope so, maybe, this year. And thanks to WIPO, we sent a draft. Actually, they just blessed it with a few remarks of which we have worked on. We have already worked on. That's what I can say. So you can find most of the, universities, for instance, they have their own policies. But the policies, since we don't have the national policy, IP policy, each university has then there is the problem. I mean, you won't find any uniformity. And at least anyway, but I'm sure in a few years to come that will be in place. Now, coming back to the second question, um, about how BRELA can assist or can say about the issue of patents and whatnot. Because when you talk issue of innovation or technology transfer, in fact, you are talking of IP, specifically on patent. Well, Tanzania, just like in third world countries, we have experienced a lot of issues. The issue of intellectual property are still new to most of us. People are not aware of it. I can say you might have people who can invent and whatnot, but the mass or the community is not aware of what is innovation, what is patent, what is IP. So that we need a lot. We are putting a lot of efforts to do awareness to the people, to the mass of people, and in fact we have started with the universities. We have been moving here and there, trying to educate, try to enlighten what is IP, what is patent. There's a problem of, for instance, in patent in particular, there is a problem of drafting. Because you won't have a patent without following the procedures. Because to patent, it involves a legal criteria that to be followed. Now, that criteria of following that, one is drafting. I don't think whether in Tanzania, as of now, I can say we have drafters. We had 2 or 3. One was here, now was retired. Dr. Shemdwe has retired. So, I'm talking a person who was trained. We don't have a single trained, as I can say, who can at least assist those people who are inventing and whatnot. So that's already a problem. Now, if you send that, if you have any invention and you send to BRELA, definitely won't go through. Even if you have a good invention, your ideas and whatever, you don't know what's even the claim is. And still people don't know what is the claim. When they say, okay, I want to patent this and this, and still there's a confusion. And people are coming to BRELA just want to patent ideas. I heard that want to patent the ideas. Let me tell you out that completely ideas cannot be patented unless you put it in, it manifests it into a real world that, your ideation should be put in the tangible, we call it embodiment. Without that, nothing can be patented, and you cannot patent idea because you have ideas. I don't know. Your ideas and mine. You don't know. It's something abstract in your mind. It's an ideation. So unless you put the ideation into practical, then you can say you can patent it. So there is still a confusion that I can say, generally, and in order not to waste time to all present, I can say still we need to. To do a lot of sensitization to our society, including the universities, including all technocrats, including the inventors and whatever. That's what I can say generally, unless there's a lot that I can speak here from now till down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll ask you a question. Yeah, stay with the mic. Yeah, thank you very much. It's interesting because when you look on the other side, well, not really the other side, but in the ecosystem where science, technology, and innovation is being promoted, and Tanzania seems to do extremely well. If you look at the Global Innovation Index, we are doing quite a bit. When you do look at what is registered as IP products, we are very weak in that regard. And it's a shame to hear that we don't have any drafters, and I don't know if there's any initiatives to train people in that space, because if we don't try and change the dynamic, we will constantly be in this dialogue of we are supporting innovations, but they're not really making an impact in terms of creating wealth, because a lot of countries we know have benefited from their IP and really leapfrogged into into bigger picture, into a different space in terms of the economic trajectories. I'm going to ask our development partner, UNDP, Funguo, to tell us how they help in this whole commercialization, transfer of technology process from support from universities. And you might want to talk back. I know, Joseph, you worked with the HDIF program, which was for me a program that also did quite a bit in this space, looking at research products that had moved out of the research space, but how they were doing in society. You might want to touch on that a bit.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Flora. And I was actually listening to the gentleman here. I was like, okay, 12 years we still have a draft policy. IP policy is like, oh, that's scary. I think the story is not different from the STI policy that has been in the draft for quite a long time. I think that also has a bearing on the works of the research and technology development that kind of now develop into actual products and services to be marketed. So I think something needs to be done in that area, that space, at least to look at the speed and everything that should be put into that. So this is an area that still requires some kind of effort, I have to say. Now, when it comes to now other initiatives kind of supporting the commercialization part, I think talking about the program that we're leading, which is Funguo, it comes in at a later stage. So we are not active at this stage where it still requires prototyping, patenting and everything. Although the plans to be able to support at that level as well, because the aim is basically to see a more vibrant and a stronger pipeline of startups now going to the market. So unless we strengthen the base, I don't see us actually moving far. We are doing well, as you said, but I think we tend to compare ourselves with our neighbors or our peers. We are still lagging behind. And I think from the conversation here, you can actually see where the gap comes from. So it's a combination of different factors. So initiatives like Funguo or HDF, the old HDF, what was supposed to be doing or what we are doing right now is to be able to now contribute to all these efforts that are being done by the government, by academic institutions, by other partners, to see how we can make a step forward. So for those that have at least done the prototype and have moved to the MVP, they already tested the market. What's next? So we come in as a program to provide catalytic funding so they can actually be able to go to the market and scale, and be able to also support them in linking them to the potential investors. So that's meant to be able to, as it's called catalytic, because it's supposed to support these innovators or startups so they can actually go further. And we not only provide catalytic funding, we also provide technical assistance and work with the government agencies like COSTECH, agencies like ICT Commission, various ministries to also engage in policy discussions, policy dialogues that kind of aim at improving this kind of situation. Yeah, I think this kind of conversation is very important because now it kind of lays bare of where the gaps are, because talking about a country of 61 million and you don't have even more than 3 patent drafters, that's a bit scary. So I think that's an area that we need to look at. And that's something also where development partners should actually be able to put effort. I'm glad to hear that WIPO helped in pushing the IP policy forward. I think that probably we need to look at what other effort can be done. So in a nutshell, that's what programs like us are doing, just complementing what's already happening. Asante.
Thank you. And it's good to have this conversation, as you said, because it really paints the picture of where, now I say we because I used to be in this building, it's hard to get it out of my head, but when COSTECH tries to drive science, technology, and innovation to build a knowledge society, that is where building this pipeline from Buni to DTBI and the other hubs out there, but also really seeing knowledge products in society out there helping and creating impact in Tanzanian lives. If we don't have robust guidelines, support mechanisms, you will always see these cracks. And so a program like Funguo is probably struggling to get quality knowledge products because they're probably falling through. And I agree, there are a lot of other factors that create that, but IP is a very strong part, because what I'm hearing so far is beyond research, the IP support system is almost non-existent. And we all know when you do develop products, you have to iterate them once they're in the market. So you get a product, you improve on it, but there is always creation of new IP or additional IP on that. And what kind of a support system do you have, which is beyond a research institution? I'm going to ask Kostek then, because they are the glue that should be putting all these things together. If you want to pass him the mic. How do you bring all these ecosystem actors together and try and resolve this whole conundrum that we've been talking about, the challenges that we're seeing in the IP ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Flora. It's interesting that COSTECT has done a lot, and I can comfort Tanzanians that we are on the right track on the IP journey. Like my colleague mentioned, that we have limited number of IP drafter. COSTECT saw that, and we took some initiative. He mentioned one of our colleagues, he has been trained and he has been drafting, Dr. Shemdoe to mention him. And we asked him to train the staff in-house in the COSTECT. About 10 staff were trained. And that very particular year, we managed to assist drafting of 15 patents, of which were submitted to BRELA. And the 5 of them, they are on the final process of approval. They are on the journal. So this entails, like the Tanzania Commission of Science and Technology is doing its work by capacitating the internal human capacity. So as we play the role of coordination on science, technology, and innovation, being able to do it doesn't help a country. So we went through capacitating those who are working in technological institutions, research and development institutions, and higher learning institutions. And this it has been done through the TISC network. This is Technology Innovation Support Center network. To tell you, we have about 58 potential institutions to drive the science and technology and the innovation in the country. And right now, we have consulted the head of the institution to appoint a focal person who can assist in the innovation development within the institution. And out of that 43 institutions, they have already appointed their focal person. Some of them, they have gone through a number of training for IP drafting and research. So right now, we are quite comfortable to say we are going to make a significant impact when it comes on the issue of IP disclosure and the protection, because academia, which is having a huge resource of intellectual, they have already been given a way through which they can capacitate them to become IP drafter and guide even on the patent search. And in addition to that, also coming for universities and the R&D, for them to operate, they need to have enabling environment, which included the institutional IP policies. Most of the institutions now, they are on the process to develop their IP policy or to revise what is existing. As Tanzania Commission of Science and Technology, we have developed a template of which we have customized to be suitable to our environment in the absence of the national IP policy, because we have the act which support the IP and alike. So now we have drafted that, and we have a program whereby there are about 11 institutions which are under higher education, economic transformation projects. So we want them now to start using these drafted templates, and we have already gone to 2 institutions, MUSE and I mean one institution which is affiliated to the University of Iringa, and also in Mzumbe. So we are going to go to a number of them so that first they need to have the institutional IP policy in place. that helps them, that those who are doing innovations, they are the author of innovation. Because whoever is coming up with innovation use his mind. So is the author of innovation. Then when it comes about the sharing of the benefits that are coming from the IP, that should be taken care by the IP policy. So that one I think is going to resolve a number of conflicts, because from the planning stage, they know what the institution IP policy says, then they have to abide on that. And then the other thing which we are doing, we also have started a program with WIPO, whereby, according to the trends in Tanzania, innovator, they are the one who also take their innovation to the market. So now we have come with one model. We train this innovator to be able to disclose their innovation to the national IP police, regional IP police, or international IP police, the WIPO. And when they disclose, the benefit is innovators, their lifespan are limited. So the day they are not here, we should not struggle, because they have already come with a very brilliant mind. So we must have those, their invention being protected. So when they disclose, they are going to be protected from others who cannot use without their permission or without their benefit. So we have trained, we are on the process, we have started training about 25 innovators, of which they are going to do their innovation work, and also they are going to do drafting by themselves and assist others. So it's a journey. We are not sure if all 25 they will be able to draft, but we expect some of them they will be able to draft. And meanwhile, we have also identified those who have attended training through WIPO on their own initiatives. And then we bring them in a database, and then we are going also to train them to be IP patent drafter. So all this, we believe that is going to help us to draft the innovation, the IP which is coming from innovation. But all this cannot happen if innovation activities are not taking place. So with that, we are very grateful to our different parties who support us on the innovation ecosystem activities. So the innovation spaces, whereby the ideation, coming up with a prototype that is worthy to be patented. So we want to leverage on this effort. As we say today, our Buni Hub, it has come now a mother hub to support other hubs. So we expect on those 67 plus hubs, which have been initiated with the support of the COSEC in one way or the other, they are going to come up with a number of innovations. So innovation which is coming up, it has two components. Not every innovation needs to be protected, because if you are doing a demand-driven innovation, it depends on those who need. If they need that solution, you come up with a technical solution to their problem. Then the second component is the business model. How are you going to give to them, and how they're going to appreciate your effort. So in that case, if it's global novel, then we need to protect. But if it's just a reverse engineering, whereby it's not necessary to innovate, we cannot encourage them to protect. Instead, they can just use their business model to proceed with the commercialization. And of which maybe that's more encouraging in this era because of this co-creation and of those things which they are working together. And the other aspect, which to put it clear, is the innovative cluster. Innovative cluster, it brings the innovator, those who are working in higher learning institution. The interesting thing with those who in the higher learning institution, they have the state-of-the-art lab. So they make this innovative cluster who are in the business to have access to the innovation infrastructure, and also to have support with the experts who are in this institution. And also the government is coming in to facilitate with some incentive. Like COSTEC, it do provide some funds to help this innovative cluster to develop their innovation idea to the level whereby they can be able to protect and even go to the market. So as the director mentioned, we have more than 15 innovative clusters which has been supported, And some of them, they have come up with the IP, and they have come up with quite innovative products which are suitable for tech transfer. So we believe this effort, it is putting Tanzania on the right road to continue excelling well in the innovation. And if I go through the statistics, I think it was last year we were on the 5th level compared to sub-Saharan African country when it comes to innovation. And on innovation output, we have been doing good for a number of years. Even the last year when we come to the level of 100 at the global scale, but still, if we compare the level of investment and the innovation output is higher than the level of investment. This is to say we need to encourage and to congratulate our innovators. They are doing their level best to take the innovation product to the market. That's why globally we are being seen as an innovative nation, because coming up with a lot of innovative product, it tells like you are doing innovation. Now, why we are not having a good statistics on protection? My colleague has mentioned the awareness of IP is relatively low in our country. And that is going to be addressed through the TISC network. I think my colleague Nana, we are working with her on supporting accessing the IP resources to these higher learning institutions. And we are also planning to come up with training which will guide them on advanced search, if they can be able to access on a number of patterns, the database which are open access and those which are closed with the permission from the WIPO. So also through that effort, I believe as a country, we are going to see a great changes with a great impact when it comes on the issue of innovation. And the one thing also I need to point out, looking at the innovation landscape in our country, we have all the instruments in place, even though we want to update them, like looking into science and technology policy of 20, which year?
It's a draft. We don't have a policy.
No. It's science and technology policy. Yes. That one is still support. We can still continue. And also looking on the Patent Act and the like. So they are still supporting innovation. So at a level of COSTECH, we still encourage our innovators that the environment for them to innovate and to disclose their innovation at the national policy, they are there. And we are doing everything to support them so that we can be able to do a local technology transfer coming from higher learning institutions or in academia to the industry. And those challenges which the industry they are facing, they can be going to the academia with this effort which you are making. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think COSTECH has given us a level of comfort. I don't think we are at 100% yet, and so I wouldn't say we can sit back and relax. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I'm going to open to the floor and ask if you have any comments, questions. We have a couple of minutes before I ask our panelists to give another round of feedback. I don't know, is there an extra mic or do they have to use? Gentleman over there. Please introduce yourself and let us know who your question or comment is directed to.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name's Bendan Tunguka Tisekwa. I'm a facilitator at one of the Morogoro Food Process Cluster Innovative Researcher and a professor at SUA. I'm happy to hear that a lot of effort is being done and that, well, the community is not aware about these IP innovations and what. In our cluster, we have innovated to produce an aflatoxin safe and a nutrient-dense, product, as a composite flour. And we have spent, some effort, our own efforts as a cluster, but also the government has supported us, through funds. Would like to benefit from this, innovation. And sometimes the discussion about patent and protection becomes very difficult. You might think you have invented, but actually have done nothing. So we would like, to call upon COSTECH and possibly BRERA, going to BRERA's offices, government. We would like to call upon COSTECH to try to, make a survey, reach out to the, innovators and find out what they have and see if what they have can be patented, can be protected, and what benefit can they have. Now, with our product, we have leash everywhere. And we know about 35 to 40%, most of the leashes have high levels of aflatoxin. And because our formulation is not protected, very soon everybody will be making the same with our formula. How can we benefit? How can COSTECH and the government help us? Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for saying that you're not aware of what is patent, what is innovation is. But BRELA, being the house of, being the entry gate for whatever business we want to do, we are ready. We have the budget of going anywhere, and we don't want even to have your money for us to come there. It's just arrange, you invite us, provided, you organize yourself. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Yeah.
COSTECH?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think for Sokoine University, we have two development of which you just need to access. We have a focal person at the Sokoine University of Agriculture, who one of the role is to support the innovation ecosystem just in the neighborhood of the university, of which you are among. So we believe maybe Doreen will make some comments if you can access their service. And the second thing is, Sokoine University is in among the universities whereby they are going to be capacitated on the IP issues under the HIT project. So I believe when we are going to come, then we are going to ask them to include those who are in innovative cluster to take part. So I think that we are going to cover you. Doreen, you have anything to comment? We have the focal person with us here.
Thank you very much. And I am Doreen Dossi from the Sokoine University of Agriculture. It's true that we have set the TISC, or at least we are set to support innovators around the Morogoro area. But the issue is, do they know? Do the community around know that we exist? You've talked about the 58. I agree that we could have a lot of them, but the community may not be aware of the presence. But again, those TISC centers, how well are they able to perform the tasks to the whole community around them? Because you come to SUA, yes, we could have 2 or 3 people who at least know what could be done. But I am personally a technology transfer coordinator, but I also teach, so I also go to the class. So at sometimes they could be coming, but I may not be there. Although that's our wish, and we are working towards achieving it, and because we are also in the HIT project, so I believe the future is brighter. But as of now, it's true that we have a lot of challenges, as my fellow from Nelson Mandela has mentioned earlier on. So some of them are quite the same as what we are experiencing at SUA. But to come back to the question from Professor Tisekwa, the good thing is I know him, I know the cluster, and we have also worked at some point in initiating some research projects that were funded through COSTECH, the innovation clusters, not just theirs, but other two from Morogoro that we work together. But the level of collaboration is a little bit still lower. At some point, it is the issue of who will own what. You've talked about the owner of innovation, and at some point, we are talking about the author of innovation. So who holds the bigger stake when it comes to benefit sharing? It is in the policy, but if people have not benefited yet, it's so easy to say that we have it in writings, but we don't have it practically. So we still have a lot to do, and together we can really move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's get another question from the
Okay.
audience.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Zaharani Mgina. I head the Center for Innovation and Technology Transfer of Mbeya University of Science and Technology. I have not a question really, but a request from to my friend Erasto. He mentioned a very important point when you try to, but I think you need to explain more. You actually said that not necessarily that each innovation requires to be patented. You see, some of us work with a very big number of students who are actively engaging in innovations, and when it comes to the issues of patent, there is a lot of questions that need answers. So I think you need to explain more in terms of a very clear-cut demarcation, like which kind of innovations that really can be developed up to the level of market value products, but yet, and they can do well in the market, but they don't necessarily need patenting, and which actually they need to be protected. And probably you can also take this knowledge to our innovators, and then because so that they don't stress too much in the issues of patenting and they can continue with their innovations. Thank you.
Okay, can I ask that I excuse him from answering that very academic question? What is the definition of a patent, of a license, of a copyright? I think Brela has this very clearly demarcated, and your students should be able to just read that up on their own and know what they're doing. Is this really a patent, patentable idea or prototype? Or, I mean, it's quite clear, it's an academic thing that we shouldn't get caught up in. I think I want to appreciate your comment that yes, the TISCs are established. It's great that Acoustic has done that, but there's also capacity building within the TISC itself to be able to really service the community around it. Otherwise, it's a burden that they might not be able to take care of at present. Not that in the future it will grow like any other ecosystem. And I want to just share that as much as I didn't want to sound that Tanzania is not doing what it has to do. There's a lot of work that is being done, and in comparison with other countries, we do have a lot of systems in place. It's just probably how we coordinate them, and that COSTECH is doing that role, and you have obviously initiatives that you're doing better. You want to say something, Doctor?
I just take the question very brief. When the innovator does, there are two things. Is either he's coming with a technical solution to a technical problem. That one, it needs to go through some innovation, of which either that should be a Novit, that's global Novit, and there should be innovation steps. Can explain clearly how we innovate. And then it should have an industrial application globally, not only here. Then that one you need to patent, because that can be used in many parts. But you know, community A is having a particular problem, which elsewhere it has been solved, and you know how they solved it. Then you just go to the product. You need not to patent, because that one already you can use the existing solution, and then come up with the product, and they go to other form of IP. Either trademark, trade that product which is already patented elsewhere, because patent is territorial. If it's protected in Kenya and they're not protected here in Tanzania, you can do marketing of the same here in Tanzania. That's why we say our innovators, they should not waste their time about IP protection, because the exploration of IP is not that very easy. Marketing of IP is not that very easy. So there's that part where they're just solving community problem, where they are aware that what they are solving is not protected within the country. Then they can go straight forward to the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll take that question from the lady.
Thank you. Mine is not a question, but to share the experience and to pose some advice to the COSTECH and the other development partners on the issues of who has to own the IP in the technology transfer between university and the industry. So my name is Cecilia Lawrence China. I'm a lecturer at the Nelson Mandela African Institution of Science and Technology, but also I am an expert for the innovative cluster, which is leather cluster, Kiwango leather cluster. So in our cluster, we work in collaboration with the SMEs, which are in that cluster, where we develop various technologies. And as we speak, based on the challenges they have, we came up with one of the innovative technology of producing organic chemicals. And through the help from the COSTECH, that technology has been patented. We have a utility model for it. And now the big challenge that we have is on how to safely transfer that technology and share the royalty out of that technology. Thank God that during the process of innovation journey, we got the funding from the COSTECH through a project of piloting the guidelines for operationalizing the guideline for operationalizing the clusters. And one of the guidelines was on the IP management. And that guideline enables us to carry some sort of IP audit, where we identified a number of IP assets to be protected. And also it guided us to identify the contribution of each partner, because it was like joint effort between the university, cluster itself, and the government through COSTECH, who funded the project. But now we have the contribution from each partner, but how now each partner has to benefit in terms of percent-wise, that hasn't been answered as we speak. So innovation is there, and the patent is there, and now how to share the royalty is a big challenge. So I would like to post this request to the COSTECH to fast track the policy that will help us to make sure that these kind of efforts are rewarded. Otherwise, it is going to discourage the joint effort in the innovation journey. Thank you.
Yeah, I think just to share, it's actually good that you point that out. It was one of the questions that I was going to ask myself, given the role, is beyond creation of IP is really, at the end of the day, one wants to benefit from it. And I'm not sure if we do have IP lawyers, because that's what you really need. And I think, Madam, you're probably one of them, I hope, that we need IP lawyers. It's IP economic expertise to know really what makes sense in terms of how do you calculate who takes royalties. If it's COSTECH, it's easy. When they support, they're not allowed to take benefits, so they would be not a partner that's benefiting, but the university and the cluster members definitely would expect to claim some sort of returns on their investment. I'm going to ask, it's just that we're running out of time, so I'm going to ask our esteemed panelists to give 1 minute closing remarks of what they think this next discussion, because I think this discussion has to go on. It's not going to stop here. And so I'll start with our colleague on the network, Nana, if you want to give us what are your thoughts about this conversation, and what do you think should be next for Tanzania?
Thank you so much, Flora. Okay, so I think it's important. The mindset has to change, I think. And that being said, what I mean is the understanding, the thorough understanding of intellectual property rights, the different intellectual property rights that can come into play to benefit. It's not just patents, we've got trade secrets. So there are times when your innovation should not actually be patented. It should just, you should use the IP rights of a trade secret. I think to begin with, The capacity needs to be built, and based on that, WIPO, like I said, will come in from the angle of the TISC section. We come in to support and to give in-depth information and capacity building, knowledge, all of that, resources to help to move the people of Tanzania from where they are now to a place where, they've come with their idea, and now we've moved them, we've trained them to a point where they can now commercialize. Because as you said, resources, whether it's human, whether it's finance, they all cost. They have some level of cost. So it's important to come in, understand the area we're dealing with, and to move them from one step to...
Sorry, we've lost the audio. I don't know. Nana, can you hear us? We can't hear you, sorry. We've lost your audio. So while the tech team will sort that out, I'm going to ask Dr. Mliuka if you want to give your 1 minute. Mike? Sorry about that.
Yeah, just for 1 minute, I just want to say we need to understand the National Innovation System. It has 3 levels. The first level is about the right environment, which is put by the Ministry responsible for Science and Technology and its affiliate institution, including COSTECH. And then the second level is the research and the development institutions. This second level, they need to act. So we have already shared about the TISC network that can help you support the ecosystem in your neighborhood. It's a high time as research and development institution to develop a project document, how you are going to support the ecosystem in your neighborhood, having your budget. And at the third level is the regulatory authority, of which it regulates the consumer, that they can get whatever innovative products which are safe to them. So we need to keep a note on this, that in order for any innovation to find its way, we need to go through this 3 levels. And the third level is a bit challenging because it's about security. There's no way they will compromise. Whether innovation is very novel, but they must make sure that the consumer are safe. Those are the regulatory authorities. We need to remember them. Thank you.
Dr. Jam, just go ahead.
Okay, thank you. What I would recommend is, I note the fact that was said by Dr. Mliuka, but I would argue universities and other stakeholders, at least as we wait for the National Intellectual Property Policy, to at least analyze some products that can go through commercialization without the necessity of patenting, as it has been noted. But again, the nature of commercialization and the documentation there too should be annexed as tools to assist those people who do not know to prepare them. So that when those documents are prepared, it is easy for everybody to fill in for purposes of completion of their commercialization. Thank you.
Is the tech ready? Can she? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. As a matter of winding up, just on the basis of what I've discussed about the national IP police, lack of that, I mean, a national IP police, we lack a lot of things, like we don't have some of the laws in place, like the law regulating the, regulating the geographical indication issues of, we don't have that law. That's what we're supposed to have. And with the geographical indication, that even the country can benefit a lot. We have issues of design. We don't have the law regarding the design and the whatnot, industrial design. Well, and maybe to some of the colleagues, have in mind that all patents are, all inventions, not necessarily to be a patent, but patents are inventions. So you are allowed to have your innovation so long as you can help people. There's no problem with that. And nobody can say necessarily you must patent it. Please. And with the patent, there's an issue of, like, you must meet the three conditions, like the novelty. It means the invention must be new to our environment and the world in general, because that the law says so. And then that invention must not be an obvious thing, that don't reinvent. You know, our society, we are just reinventing. You find somebody with the whatever at the university level saying, okay, we have manufactured a car, whatever, but that is the prototype. You can't reinvent it. What have you improved? So long as, unless you have something improved than the existing cars, then that invention must have a use that we call the industrial use. If you have an invention which you cannot market, which you cannot sell to any person, then it's nothing. You have to consider those. If you don't meet those three criteria, then there's nothing you can do. And probably on what is working on regarding to technological transfer, now to the society. If you want to do that, you have to make sure you read books, journals. People think they can just invent something without even reading what they apply at and whatnot. That's impossible. Now, there's a lot of things that you have to see what other societies are doing. Education, training, that's very important. And as a country, we have to, if we employ experts, make sure that we copy from them. We understand them. That's, I can say shortly, because limited of time, let me end up here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joseph?
Yeah, thanks a lot. I think what this shows that this kind of a conversation needs to continue, and it's really showing that there's quite need of being be cautious of time whenever we are working on any kind of policy. I think we've already learned that the absence of national IP policy is kind of dragging some of the things behind. So this is a core, I think, for most of the policies that we work on as a country, that time is of essence. That's number one. Number two, what these kind of discussions do, they, apart from learning from each other, but we also kind of educate each other on what are the things that we need to be focusing on as a nation so we can be able to, make faster progress more than we are doing now. So thank you very much. It was a great discussion.
Thank you. Is it taken back? Okay, sorry, Nana, takes us back, so we'll give you another minute.
Thank you. No, I was just saying, as a very, very general note, that I think the mindset initially has to change. We have to know that, as Erasto said earlier on, it's a journey. It's one step at a time, right? WIPO comes in to help you to stand on your own 2 feet, right? We're starting with an idea. We're going to end with how to benefit from it, how to commercialize it in the long run, okay? So I think the first step to take is to build the capacity. Build the capacity, let the nationals of Tanzania know what type of intellectual property is most effective for whatever I have created. Okay, it makes no sense if you've written a book and you're trying to seek patent for it, you won't get it, right? Or you've come up with a mark and you're trying to get a geographical indication for it. So it's important to understand at the crux of it, which IP right do I have or can I get before anything starts? So that's the long and short of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think just to add to what she's saying, it has to be IP when we are trying to protect, develop, create, market. It has to be creating impact in society. Otherwise, I think that is the crux of why the whole IP discussion is how does it drive our economy forward. With those few remarks, I want to thank my esteemed panelists and COSTECH for this opportunity to have this conversation and pass on the mic, but ask that this conversation is only adjourned and it will continue at a later date. Huh?
Wow, thank you. So let us have a round of applause for our pretty panelists. And as I bring you back to your seat, please let's also have an applause for them. They've done a lot, and they've given a lot of information that we were not having them previously. So, Madam, I would love to welcome back to your seat together with the audience, together with the other panelists so that we can proceed with other activities. A hand of applause for them, please. Wow, so as Yeah, so as we proceed with our schedule, we would love to have a group photo together with our panelists and everyone who is inside here. And so I would ask and please everyone to walk outside the building. We have a great view outside, which is better than here also. And we can have a good picture with our panelists together to keep a memory for this Innovation Week in 2023. And then we have our innovators alongside. On the other side, we also have a time to learn and see this innovation and see what can they patent, what can you advise them to improve, having the innovation on exhibition. So we have an exhibition following up. As we are walking toward the exhibition, I would love to everyone to walk outside to have a group photo, then we can walk around the exhibitions. Welcome. Thank you. Yes, I would love everyone you can leave your things. It is a very safe place here. No worries. You can, yeah. Just walk with your pocket. Just walk with the money on your pockets. Yeah. Jamani, naomba to join wengine tuweze kupata picha pamoja ili tuweze kuendelea na activities zinazofuata.